It's actually kind of an internal voice. It's more sort of the guiding principles of the business, basically. And the whole idea is it follows the findings of a psychiatrist called Carl Jung, who was a Swiss psychologist, I think he was. And basically he put down these 12 archetypes that are in most stories that we have as a race created through the eons, basically. I mean, he's come up with these 12 archetypes, and every brand has an archetype. It has a certain way of doing things. And the reason they're important is because people, especially when being marketed to in this day and age, they need information as quickly as possible. It needs to be fast, it needs to be readily available, and it needs to be digestible as well. It needs to be easy to understand. And these 12 archetypes are archetypes we as people inherently understand. If I said rebel to you, for example, you'd understand pretty much, you'd get an idea of what a rebel is. You'd have an idea of how that kind of acts. And therefore, if you come across a rebel company, you get feelings and emotions based upon that archetype very quickly. So you can understand whether not you want to interact with that brand or not.
There's a quiz on your website. So what happens in the quiz, and will it take you directly to find out what your archetype is?
Yes. So the whole idea of the quiz, it's a bit of fun. It sort of takes 5 to 10 minutes for most people, and the whole idea is to try and answer it as the brand that you are, so that you can figure out what the archetype of the brand should be. Now, obviously, there's a lot more depth to it than just that, but it's a very good starting position to question the character and tone of voice, especially that your brand is putting out there.
So there must be some interesting stories that have come out from people when they've discovered their archetype. If they come out as a rebel and never really thought that they were they were going to be a rebel.
Yeah, there was one gentleman, especially an older gentleman, who came out as the seducer archetype. And he wasn't quite sure what to think about that to begin with. But then when I had a chat with him, he understood a bit more about what that meant, and about the fact that seducers are all actually about creating a community around them. They're about bringing people in and showing them the best thing for that person. It's all about, it's less about temptation and more about giving people what it is they truly want, finding their desire and giving it to them. So it's there've been a few people who've gone, really, am I that? And then there've been a few people who've gone, yeah, that's 100% me. I'm very glad that came out like that. So it's very interesting to see the answers and responses.
No, I can imagine. So is this based on Joseph Campbell did the hero's journey?
It's not too dissimilar. Yeah, it's got some similar sort of points to it, certainly. And obviously with story brands, they go on the hero's journey, and that's what it's all about. So it ties in quite closely to that. Yes, certainly.
Brilliant. I love the hero's journey. I do love a hero's journey, and it's something that I like to do with my clients, is to find out what journeys they've been on, because so often it's the best way, I find, for people to really feel confident selling what it is that they sell, whether it's a product or whether it's a service, is because they can find something in their story that is relatable to their audience.
Absolutely. And that's how we tend to buy into even the largest brands, is its relatability. We like to see ourselves in their shoes and understand how that kind of works. And it is fascinating seeing brand stories. And when it comes to the idea, especially when we're looking at more of the nitty-gritty kind of side of brand, and looking like the unique selling point and things of that sort of nature, which I'm sure all business owners will have known that term. Understanding your story actually brings those out more than anything else, because quite usually the unique selling point, especially to small businesses, is the person involved in actually running that business, and their unique story and their unique tale of how they got to this point and why they're doing what they're doing.